Hello, welcome
Hey everybody,
back to Darnell's
Tanhony
Torture
hates
Chamber.
autistic people.
Whoa, we can't put that in the video. You can't say that. You can't.
Yeah,
Please,
but you
at least elaborate on what has just occurred. Otherwise, we will have to restart.
Okay. So Tanhony was bullying me because I'm ND and I can't handle the world, and he was overstimulating me. He kept fucking... Okay, so you don't know this, but when we hit the record button, first we go like, all right, are you ready? Hit the record button, and then 3, 2, 1, clap. We have to do that because we live an ocean apart. But he just starts going 3, 2, and I go, wait, I'm not ready. He goes 3. I go, stop. He goes 3. He just keeps fucking doing that for like a minute straight, and I'm like about to cry in tears. And then he's like, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? I'm like, stop. He's like, no, I mean it this time.
I didn't mean it. The last one I meant it. The other two were intended as a tormentor.
So basically,
there was no way to differentiate.
Tanhony hates ND people, ? Actually, Jack had an interesting theory, but I think he might just be projecting.
Is this relating?
Yeah, his theory is that you are ND and you just don't know it. Because he said you're weird enough that maybe you just don't know it.
I'm not weird. I'm normal.
Okay. You're very normal, Tan. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that.
Jack saying this shit to me about me.
Alright guys, we're back with Aetheral Space 3.36. So last time on Aetheral Space, what happened? Was that Noel getting lectured by the citizen, or was it something else?
So last time, at the very end, Dragon got dragged into a fucking room where the sponsor of War's hologram was. The sponsors
that's right!
were fucking pissed off because the sponsor of Dreams got fucking wasted.
Mm-hmm.
And, and Ruth was sad in her room.
Yeah, and sponsor of War was like, I have a proposition for you.
Yes.
Right. And I have a request for this.
Okay.
Because I gave Deer and the sponsor of War really grating voices. Can you just read their lines, and then I'll read the rest? I'll read the in-between, I'll do the other characters. But if you could just take...
This is the first step towards the Aetheral Space audio drama.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, hey, man, just a little bit of retooling. We gotta remove all the dumb shit in between. And, you know, you got it right there. Okay. Dragon picked himself up off the ground, nursing his bruised arm. He glared at the holographic bull in front of him. You have an offer for me? He asked. I have to say, I'm not loving your opening pitch.
I ask you to forgive them. The sponsor
The sponsor of War said, voice a steady rumble.
Their line of work often requires violence, so it's the first solution they turn to. They are accustomed to hammers, so each problem becomes a nail. They had no malice towards you.
Wish I could say the same, Dragon said. So, what's this offer of yours? His mind was racing. What was going on here? Why was the sponsor of War going to him with this? Had the other members of the crew been approached individually as well? He didn't ask, though. Best to hide curiosity unless it be of use to you.
You are a young man that I find agreeable.
The bull began.
Military
How's that?
Our philosophies are compatible. You see
Wait, Roswell-kun?
You see the world and the people in it as they truly are. You are not swayed by pleasant platitudes or self-serving moralities.
As Dragon spoke, he began to circle the hologram, looking it up and down. As an artificial projection, it wouldn't actually have any body language he could use against it, but it was still a good idea for Dragon to give the impression that he was looking for tells. How's that? He asked quietly, electric blue eyes scanning. I don't think we've talked much, and the one time we did, I'm pretty sure you were threatening me. Not exactly a heart-to-heart.
The bull flickered in place.
Sorry.
Sorry, you're here.
No, that was my bad because I totally zoned out. The bull flickered in place, and a second later it was replaced by a hologram of Dragon as he'd been last night, speaking to Deer outside the hospital. There's no point, the holographic Dragon said, body language passionate. I am literally imagining this scene in fucking television. Like, he puts out his little bull tongue, and it's like, and it's like the Star Wars hologram. Dragon speaking. There's no point to anything until you force there to be. Nobody in the world knows what they're doing, so you might as well do what you think is best. You have as good a chance of getting it right as anyone else, and I'm not letting some trillionaire voice from the sky tell me what to do. The only one who decides what happens to me is me. Isn't it kind of terrifying that no matter... Like, Dragon was just in a field, and this guy has a perfect recollection of what he said, which means there's like mics and cameras fucking everywhere. Or Deer had one on him anyway. How terrifying is this world, dude?
Tell them not a nice place to live. Bottom 10 places to live.
CCTVs everywhere. Hostile architecture. Not a good place. Dragon felt the twinge of a headache as he looked at the recording, both from the unexpected switch in analysis target and the embarrassment of having his own words thrown in his face. As the hologram switched back to the bowl, Dragon smirked. Does Deer know you've got him bugged?
Of course.
The sponsor of war chuckled. Give me your best sponsor of war chuckle.
He expects it. He is a dutiful man who believes in structures that do not exist. He obeys unwritten and unread rules without question.
Dragon raised an eyebrow. Doesn't much sound like you appreciate the people who work for you.
Deer does not work for me,
The bull said.
He works for himself, to prove that the worldview he believes in is correct. Everything he does is for that purpose. I'm simply the one who gives him orders.
Those are some fancy words, but he still works for you. You pay him, and he does what you say. It's pretty black and white as far as I see it. Sponsor of War sighed, the flames around him intensifying in time with it.
I didn't bring you here to talk about Deer. I have a proposal for your future.
I'm sorry, you're ruining my immersion. Could you sigh like the Sponsor of War? And what's that?
That you have a future.
Dragon stopped his circling of the hologram, biting his lip. Had they finally reached the part of the meeting where the threats came out again? You're gonna have to expand on that for me, he said quietly.
Imagine this scenario. In a very short span of time, something unfortunate will happen to the city. Something that will cause a great deal of damage. Should you cooperate with me, you and your friends will be in a position where you can escape that situation. Should you not, your fate will be the same as those around you.
Dragon narrowed his eyes. The citizens going to try something? Something big?
Big would be an understatement in this case.
How so? The conversation was accelerating, the gaps between statement and response getting shorter and shorter by the second. The bull shook its head, charred fur flopping from side to side as it did so.
Not until I know we are of one mind. Before this incident takes place, I require someone to tie up loose ends, to ensure that, once this event takes place, the situation is thoroughly closed.
Dragon put a hand to his chin, ran the bull's statement back in his mind, using all the references in his archive to search for any signs of duplicity. Nothing. The sponsor of war had told the truth, but that didn't discount lies of omission. He raised a hand, gestured towards the hologram. And if I were to do this for you, he said, these loose ends, what are they? Let's get rid of the euphemisms. The bull's red eyes were locked on the dragons as it spoke.
I thought I killed you. A toy Muzazi. Other matters I have other people for, but I would like for you to kill that man. Should he still exist after the smoke clears, awkward questions will be asked.
Well, that's not a bad thing to ask Dragon to do, but why can't they just fucking kill him? Is it going to be some weirdo shit like if we kill him, it would start a war, but if you kill him, it's just a criminal being an asshole? Actually, that might be it. That made sense. Presumably the Taladin administration had managed to keep the UAP central government from catching wind of what was going on planet-side. But if that changed, they'd probably want to know why an agent of an enemy nation was being held. More importantly, they'd want to know why they hadn't been informed of it. That implied that whatever was about to happen would be big enough to catch their attention. Something clicked in Dragon's mind. His breath faltered. Oh my god, his dragon breath faltered I assume for a moment, and his eyes widened to just a tad. To an ordinary person, these emotional indicators would be imperceptible, but Dragon knew that a cogitant would be able to spot them plain as day. He could only hope the sponsor of war wasn't a cogitant then. Dragon tested the waters, keeping his tone carefully measured. I'm some random stray from the Supremacy. I'm sure you have plenty of other people on your payroll, especially in that prison. Why not have one of them do it?
I'm a man who enjoys the acquisition of resources, Mr. Hadrian. I could have one of my men do it and gain nothing, or I could have you do it and gain your services. It's a simple calculus.
I'm confused. Is he implying that he would be able to use it against Dragon as blackmail?
It's more like, if you do this, I know you're good at what you do, and I can give you work. You can be my Darth Vader.
Oh, I see. Of course, that wasn't all there was to it. Dragon wasn't stupid. This would serve as a test of loyalty as well as a recruitment method. My question was answered literally next sentence. If Dragon proved himself unable or unwilling to do it, the sponsor of war could just have someone else act and get rid of him. This wasn't even a choice then. I do this for you, he said, looking up at the bull, voice firm, and you let me and everyone else free, completely off the hook. No future obligations.
Absolutely.
The sponsor of war lied.
I'm a man of my word.
It's interesting that you use lied, aside from the comedic point of it. In situations like this, it gives us, the audience, information that Dragon doesn't have. I mean, maybe he does because he's a cogitant, he can detect lies, but...
Yeah, he knows, that's why it's like that.
Dragon closed his eyes. I'll do it then. I'll kill Atoy Musashi. I know he literally did nothing wrong, and all I've done is be a pain in his ass, but I suppose I might as well put the nail in the coffin. The slightest sliver of satisfaction crawled through the bull's tone.
Excellent. I look forward to seeing your results, Mr. Hadrian.
I'm waiting for the battle where, like, Musashi's sword luminescence, like, gets broken, and he just goes absolutely insane mode. Like, I'm talking Mazgus mode, bro. Like, just the veins bulging on his face. He's like, impudence! And he fucking forms a sword out of starlight, and he just kills everybody in the room. I'm waiting for that moment. And then there was the fizzling click of the hologram deactivating, followed by silence. Actually, no! Hold on. Hold on. I want to make a 5,000 IQ prediction here, Tam, before we continue.
Yeah?
Okay. So, Musashi did nothing wrong. And obviously, killing him in a cell like this would be super anticlimactic to everything he's been. I think Dragon's gonna fucking get him out of there, and then he and Marie are gonna kind of join the motley crew in an awkward way. That's my fucking 5,000 IQ prediction. Calling it now, locking it in. Okay. Dragon let out a shaking breath that felt like it had been boiling in his lungs for quite some time. He staggered backwards, putting an equally shaky hand against the wall to steady himself. Fuck! 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 What did he just talk himself into? It felt like he'd gone from being in a cage to a labyrinth where he couldn't see any of the walls, and one wrong turn would mean certain doom. If he wanted to get out of this, he knew he'd have to burn his own way through the walls around him. Hey, guys, said Skipper cheerfully, striding down the hallway with his hands clasped. Wait, hands? Tan.
Yeah.
Hand, he doesn't have... Oh, wait, I guess he has a robot hand.
Yeah.
Never mind. Hallway with his hands clasped behind his back. There were only 6 of you last time. You're not scared of me or anything, right? The guards looked to each other but didn't speak. To their credit, they weren't showing much in terms of nervousness. Their grips on their plasma bows were steady, and their march down the hallway was locked into step. Skipper had to give them top marks for that, if nothing else. Still, he could take them out without much issue. Maybe they'd realize that, seeing as they'd upped the guards on him. To a guy like him, though, smashing through 8 meat bags wasn't much different from smashing through 6. The problem was the others. Ruth, Dragon, Bruno, and Serena. So long as he didn't know where they were and what condition they were in, he couldn't act recklessly. The whole thing had turned into your classic hostage situation. The replacement prosthetic they'd gotten him was clearly thrown together on short notice, too, not suitable for battle by any means. For the last couple of hours, this group of good old boys had been transferring him from cell to cell, room to room, presumably to keep him from having enough time to formulate a plan. Not bad as far as tactics went, yeah, because no one can think when they're walking. Unless they mean, like, around escaping a certain room.
Yeah.
Which makes way more sense now that I say it out loud. This seemed to be different. He recognized the hallways they were leading him down now. He'd made his way across them often enough back when he was dedicated to annoying Deer. They were headed to the security chief's office. Was Deer finally going to say what was going on, then? Or, more accurately, what he'd been told was going on? They turned a corner, and just as Skipper had expected, there loomed the door to Deer's study. One of the guards, more nervous than the others, probably, jabbed Skipper's back with the plasma bow, I assume, prompting him to walk forward. Skipper cast a faux irritated glance backwards. Patience, yeah? He said, looking at the yellow dot in the center of the guard's visor. We've got all day here. No rush, buddy. Well, he'd been in worse situations, but he'd been in better, too. At the very least, he was confident he could get some answers out of Deer. The door opened and Skipper stepped into the dark office. The guards did not follow. Skipper frowned as the door slid shut behind him. The office really was dark. He could barely see his own hands when he looked down. How the hell did Deer... Well, how could he already? They're clasped behind his back in handcuffs, right?
No, he just clasped them behind his back.
Oh, I see. How the hell did Deer expect to get any work done in this kind of environment? With a dull thunk from above, the lights in the office snapped on. A woody comment died before it even left Skipper's throat. The fifth dead stood towering over Deer's empty chair, hands clasped in front of himself. His impassive eyes regarded Skipper, his face betraying no emotion. Deer himself was nowhere to be seen. Fuck, what was the fifth dead's voice
It's not
again?
It's not the fifth dead's voice.
It's the what?
It's not the Fifth Dead's voice.
Oh, whose voice is that? Oh, fuck. Whatever, I'm just gonna make it up. Skipper, came a cold, measured voice from all around. Not the Fifth Dead. A pleasure to finally have you join us. Oh, is this gonna be the first, second, third, and fourth Dead? Mach 5 Dead Doll? Alright. Give me a quick second to drink water. Entertain the audience.
Hey guys, you like Aetheral Space? Don't forget to buy the Funko Pops now available. They're not available.
Dragon Funko Pop! Oh, God. Dragon kept a hand on his mouth as he rode the train to the prison facility. He knew he couldn't afford to betray any emotion, but the pieces clicking together in his head weren't exactly easy to ignore. He glanced around the train. The carriage seemed to be full of civilians. It was rush hour, after all. But he couldn't be sure there weren't any plainclothes security among them, so he couldn't afford to let anything show in his face, and running for it definitely wasn't an option. Dragon idly flipped a coin up and down. One of the last supremacy staters. Is that the correct word?
Yeah, that's currency, yeah.
Okay, that... And it's stater, not stater? Or a stater?
Yeah, staters.
Okay, staters he had on him. It wasn't good as currency out here, of course, but he needed something to occupy his hands right now. Up it went, down it went. Nice and predictable. I love how he calls a coin toss predictable. Classic Dragon thought process. It's the definition of randomness, idiot. Thought occurred to him, and when the coin came back down again, it vanished just before meeting his hand, dissipating into the tiniest spark of blue aether. How many things can he keep recorded right now at Dragon's level?
One sort of object at a time.
So he's wasting it on his coin? You have pockets, idiot. I'm just being like overly critical for no reason. Just being a shithead for literally no reason. Interesting. So falling objects counted as projectiles for the purposes of his Gemini shotgun. Wait, is it specifically a technique that only absorbs projectiles?
Yes, it is meant to intercept projectiles and shoot them back.
Like that's the way he designed it? Like he can't just record something and then shoot it back out?
No, he's had to sort of limit it, because otherwise that's way too general, it's too hard.
It's too hard. So falling objects counted as projectiles for the purposes... That's interesting to me, is like usually when you in most power systems, the generalized thing is the easy, and then like the special technique is hard. But it seems like Aether is such a finicky power system that you need a highly specific thing that you can reliably do over and over, and trying to do like more general, versatile things is really difficult, which is kind of fun. Although Aether pinging is a general, versatile thing, but I guess that's kind of an exception. Or maybe just a really simple technique. Interesting. So falling objects counted as projectiles for the purposes of his Gemini shotgun. That, at least, was good to know, but not terribly relevant right now. By the way, none of that was me criticizing. I was just stating my thoughts out loud.
Yeah.
He was losing his focus in pointless experimentation. More than anything else, he needed time to think. How much time did he have? Until the train arrives at the station, and the short walk from the station to the prison facility. That wasn't long. He'd need to make use of every second he had. Dragon gently closed his eyes, and as if he was dozing off, and retreated into his archive. Excuse me, sorry. It had been quite a while since he'd made the full dive onto this mental space. His life had been more than stimulating enough recently, after all. I can't believe he literally has a mind palace.
Get out, I'm going to my mind palace.
The marble halls of his archive stretched on stretched on in every direction, I assume, instead of one very direction?
One very direction.
One very direction. Shelves full of books and sculptures, and through the open windows, white mist could be seen swirling, obscuring whatever might have been outside. Oh, is that literal brain fog? Because if so, that's clever. With a thought, Dragon moved himself out of the hallways into a central study. A huge table stretched out before him, and with a few glances, he stocked it with the relevant information. The conversation he'd had with the sponsor of war, what he knew about the planet and its government, every absurd situation he'd found himself in since he touched down here. Wait, is Jimmy Neutron a cogitant? That just came to my mind.
Absolutely.
Brain blast! Actually, that'd be a really cool cogitant technique, like accelerating the brain even further so it's like ungodly speed. That'd be really interesting. It's like my archive, it's boosted! Running his eyes over it all, Dragon bit his lip. This was no good. It was just too much. It was all just noise, with nothing unifying it. He needed to organize this somehow, give structure to his theory crafting. He opened his mouth, just slightly, and sighed. After last time, he hadn't been looking forward to this, but he needed someone to bounce ideas off of. Oh, guys, is he going to bring back little Dragon? Dragon tapped a finger against the mental table, and a second later, Hey, little Dragon! I know it says the younger Dragon, but I'm imagining little apostrophe Dragon, and it's like Dragon in the drip outfit, but
It's
smaller.
a little Dragon with like rosy cheeks.
Yeah! The younger Dragon was sitting opposite him, a smug smile crossing his lips. What's wrong? He jeered. Can't work this out by yourself? I thought you were meant to be smart. Dragon gave his younger self a withering look. I don't remember being this much of a pain in the ass at your age, he said. The younger Dragon shrugged. You probably weren't. I'm a representation of a whole bunch of mental processes, you know? You've got issues. Besides, you were kind of a dick at this age. Well, he couldn't deny that. Every kid deep down was an asshole. Oh, nice one, Tanhony. Fucking give him the Oscar for that line.
It's true, though.
I need you to help me work something out, he snapped. Something's about to happen here on Talon. I need to know what it is, who's doing it, and why. His younger self raised that. I mean, to be fair, we've established this isn't really his younger self. It's just a representation of his mental processes, right?
Yeah.
Hypothetically, this could just as easily be Skipper or some fucking mentor character. His younger self raised an eyebrow. You already got told that, though, right? The citizen's planning something big. It's certainly in character for him, isn't it? Don't fuck around. You know as well as I do that the sponsor of war was lying there. He took what I said and just went with it. Young Dragon rolled his eyes. You've clearly got a high opinion of yourself. No snark, kid. You're only here for me to bounce ideas off of. That's the only reason you exist. And you don't exist, by the way, before you get any funny ideas. Oh my god, Dragon making Tulpa? The younger Dragon didn't have anything to say to that. He just sat there, arms crossed. Oh my god, he's a YouTuber! He's doing the arm cross, glaring across the table. He was wasting time. Dragon knew that, but he somehow hadn't been able to stop himself from getting into an argument with himself. He needed to get thinking now. So, he said, clearing his throat, the sponsor of war knows that something big is about to happen, something that I wouldn't want to be around for. He's offered to get me and the crew out of here if I kill Muzazi for him. What are the catches? The younger Dragon counted them off his fingers as he went. He could be lying about the event that's going to happen. He could be lying about getting you and the crew out of here. He could have told Muzazi the exact same thing, and now you're walking into a trap. Dragon shook his head. No. The kid cocked his head. No? Muzazi would never take a deal like that. The other two are good points, though. What do I call you? Dragon Hadrian. I'm Dragon Hadrian. The kid smirked. I know you are, but what fuck you. I know you are, but what am I? Could it be considered homicide if you killed a part of your own psyche? Dragon was sorely tempted to find out. Luckily for the kid, though, I like to think that this shithead keeps him humble, you know, because Dragon gets kind of cocky sometimes.
The jester.
This is his, the jester! He had other things to worry about for the time being. Dragon waved a dismissive hand. Fine, you're Dab. So Dragon's real! Every time he showed up, he was real! He was there! You're Dragon Hadrian. I'll call you that. Imaginative, says my imagination. I think we should forget about your third idea now that I think about it more. I'm not important enough for the sponsor of war to come up with some convoluted scheme where I'm led to believe I'm executing Muzazi, but he's actually executing me or whatever. So there's only two possibilities as far as I see it. Do go on. The sarcasm practically dripped from Dragon's tone. I both love that he's Dragon, but now I can imagine you going through, the fucking every chapter where he's involved now, just like hell, because you can't know. You have to reread everything to know if the dragon was supposed to be there or not. Dragon held up two fingers. Let's assume this horrible event actually is going to happen. Either he's telling the truth about getting us out of here before then, or he's not. Motivations and all that are irrelevant. Well, Dragon slouched in his seat. What do you think? Dragon sighed. I think he's lying. People like him don't get to where they are via acts of charity. He's trying to trick me into doing work for free, then he'll use this event as a pretext to get rid of me before I become inconvenient myself. A smug smirk spread across Dragon's lips. Sounds like we're fucked! More gears clicked together in Dragon's head, sounding like a tolling bell in his archive. A smile of his own appeared on Dragon's face. With that attitude, sure. What other attitude is there? Dragon cocked his head, frowning. Dragon leaned forwards across the table, looking his younger double right in the eyes. People like the sponsor of war won because they knew people. They could predict their actions easily, like tracking the falling of dominoes, because they understood their behaviors and motivations. It wasn't difficult. Oh, is he gonna fucking mind swap? It wasn't difficult for people like... Oh, no. It wasn't difficult for people like that to plan for the most likely choices their marks would make. So the way to win was by doing something nobody would ever expect. I think, he grinned, it's time for a jailbreak. I'm sorry, Dragon, but I suspected that. I expected it like 5 pages
That's because
ago.
you're an omnipresent observer.
I know, I'm just being a jackass. I think it's the most entertaining story option here. And I also think it's a good way to get Musashi and the crew. Because, you know, even though Dragon has, like, almost killed him several times, he's going to be like, no, I owe you an honor debt, Dragon-sama. I will fight for you for eternally. And then Marie's going to be like, I'll go wherever Musashi goes, tee. And then that's the crew. And then they're going to squad up. But the question is, will Musashi eventually betray the team like Dragon betrayed them? Who knows? Or Marie, maybe. Because Marie kind of seems kind of... I'm not going to lie, Marie do be kind of insane. I fully believe she has zero loyalties to anyone, considering the fact that she worked with the people that almost killed her and Musashi like a day later. I truly believe... And she's like immortal, so what fucking loss is she at? As long as no one puts her in a box. Truly, she's terrifying. I would not trust Marie as far as I could throw her.
Probably best.
Yeah. Alright, so here's the predictions. My prediction is, how do you think Musashi is going to react? Is he going to have an honor debt and join the team? Is he going to be like, we're even now, I'll let you be, and then he'll like kind of phase out of the story? Is he going to be like, Dragon, duel me now! And Dragon will be like, we are literally escaping prison. He's like, there's no time, my honor! Like, tell me what you think he's going to fucking do, because I'm curious as well how it's going to end up. But with that, I believe 3.36 is done, yeah?
Yeah, that's the end of 3.36.
Alright, well everyone, thanks for watching along, and I hope you, in reading, if you're reading, and I hope you guys continue to enjoy Aetheral Space.
Thank you so much.
My favorite web serial. Bye!
Bye! You should definitely follow it on Railroad.